Yeah, what key?
Give me something in B.
Okay.
Keep going. Go to A. Back to B. Keep going down. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Doing a B minor to G, D major, and then A. Too many notes.
No such thing. Keep going. That was the wrong note. Awesome, dude.
Dude, that was cool, man.
Howdy, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Wednesday again. I'm back from vacation, and it's my friend Ian Trusheim with me
Yeah.
today.
Thank you for having me, man. Good to be
Dude,
here.
I'm super pumped, man. So, I first learned about you. I think you started teaching at the music workshop with Jim.
Yeah, Jim
right
Jones.
right after I left.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, man. Well, so I was teaching there, and then I left to go. Well, one, I kind of started the online thing then, but then I moved to Mike's Music in Ellicott City.
Okay.
And I was like one of the very first teachers and started that rock band program there. But I always thought the Jim had a real talent for picking teachers.
Yeah.
Like to this day.
I have to agree. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, to this day, I'm like, I don't know why he ever hired me, because like I was straight out of school and had very little teaching experience. But like everybody there is like, I really cannot give Jim enough props.
Oh, man.
Like
He's the best.
I've always felt that way, man.
Yeah.
Like he really, really is.
So, and it's like keeping that in mind, were you there when Lafayette Gilchrist was teaching there?
Yeah, man.
So he just won, I forget what it's called, it's like the Baker Award. I mean, it's like a really big deal. He won like a lot of money, almost like a grant, just for him being like an awesome artist.
Dude, it's amazing.
And he teaches there, you know?
I know. I used to be one door down from him.
Yeah.
And with Fred Moss across the way, and then who was the other guy? Mike down at the end. I don't think he teaches there anymore.
Tall guy, Mike Matthias.
Yeah. How
Dude,
great is that dude?
Mike is one of the best musicians I've ever met in terms of you hear him play guitar and you're like, that guy's
piano
a great
too.
And bass.
Yeah,
And you hear him play guitar and you're like, that guy's an amazing guitar
Dude.
player. Then he picks up the bass and you're like, well, that guy really knows how to play traditional bass
Like
responsibilities.
he's not playing guitar on bass. He's
Exactly.
playing bass.
And then he plays like Hammond B3 and keyboards.
Dude,
I mean,
but like in doing like classical like Debussy stuff.
Yep.
Like the dude is some next level.
he's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know where he is. Is he still there?
He's there definitely on Thursdays. I teach there on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and he might be there other days, but I know he's definitely there on Thursdays.
Yeah, man. Well, I need to reconnect with that dude.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, so you've been teaching. How many years have you been teaching?
At the music workshop for a good 7.
Yeah, man.
And in I started teaching. It's been about like 12 years I've been teaching privately. You know, I started off going to people's houses and stuff like that, and then eventually had a space where I could teach students at my place. With my wife. Now we have a little one, you know, so I don't have a sweet setup like you know. So
Well, dude, this setup is new for me. I mean, you know, when I was
living in the city, it's hard, you know.
Dude, man, it's real hard. We were in a 768 square foot townhouse with kids.
Amazing.
For like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I mean, it's crazy sleeping on top of each other, but that's all good though.
Yeah.
So you've been teaching a long time, and then you know, you gig, and how many bands do you gig with?
It's hard. I'm afraid I'm going to forget to
like,
name
you're not even sure,
several.
are you?
I'm not sure.
So I think the first time I heard you play, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was right after I left the music workshop, and weren't you playing with Old Man Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before, you know, Adam went to Nashville or whatever.
Funny enough, I still like keep in touch with Adam and Jenny. I play with Jenny Lee.
Yeah.
When she comes up like in this part of the Mid-Atlantic, I get to play with her, and I love playing with Jenny. I wish I could play with her more, and I get to play with Adam occasionally.
Yeah.
And
they're great, man.
They're just awesome. Both of them are the real deal.
Yeah, and I always liked that band. So I don't know if you knew that, but they played my wedding.
No, get out.
Yeah, and so Alex is a good friend of mine, and
he just bought a 55 Les Paul Jr.
Did he really?
Yeah, or it's like mid-50s.
I keep trying to get him to come on here.
Lanky, if you're watching, you need to bring the Les Paul Jr.
Dude.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm pretty sure it's a 55. It's like really nice shape. Yeah.
You see my face?
Yeah.
Got to get on here, buddy.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had recently just left the music workshop, and I was going to an Old Man Brown show, and I forget who was playing bass before. I can't remember.
Joe Martone, maybe?
I think that's right.
He's one of my favorite bass players. He's awesome.
Dude's awesome. And Jim was at the Old Man Brown show.
Get out.
And he was like, hey, man, how's it going? I hope everything's doing well, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm here to see these guys. You know, they just played my wedding. It was literally like right after that. And I was like, I heard they got a new bass player. Who is it? He goes, dude, it's this. He called you like, I think a young kid or something, because it was like right when you joined.
Sure.
Right? When you started teaching there. He's like, dude, it's this young guy. He just started working here. Dude's phenomenal.
Oh, man.
And like, and I watched you on stage then. I guess this had to be 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. And I was just like, I don't miss the other dude at all.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well,
so that was my first time. I don't remember if I went up and said hi to you or not, but that was my first time. I was like, who's this dude Ian? You popped up on my radar.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've always been a fan of your playing.
Well, thanks, man.
So who else you play with? Give me the rundown.
Okay. So one of the main things I do, I play in a corporate band called Millennium.
Yeah.
And it's
when did you start doing that?
I started playing in agency bands about 4 years ago. I started with a band called Infusion. These are bands out of Washington.
Okay, these are all Washington talent.
Yeah. And I got an opportunity to audition for this band Millennium, and I got the gig. And they work not year round, but like, I mean, you know, you've done a whole bunch of corporate stuff, and basically April to the end of the year, it's every Saturday with this band Millennium, and it's
you do Fridays and Sundays too sometimes.
Yeah, you know, and it could be a weeknight sometimes, but it's every Saturday pretty much year round.
In season, so that's good. 30, 40 gigs a year.
Oh yeah, probably more than that, maybe 50, or I'd have to.
That's a good gig, man.
Oh, dude, and the pay's great.
Yeah.
The band, it's.
Now, sometimes the band is different sizes based on what people pay, right?
The core band is always $7, and then you could add on whatever the heck, as much money as you have available.
You want 16 whores?
Yeah.
I'll call them.
You want an electric violin, like.
I know the guy.
And we've had electric violin before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, we use in-ear monitors and have the little app on our phone to control the volume. So it's like, hey, what channel?
No, everybody uses that?
Yeah, it's like a PreSonus app, or a Q-Mix is
but everybody in the band has the app and does their individual mix.
Yeah.
And everything's in ears.
It's all in ears. I bring
Amps
this
on stage.
We'll talk about this later, but I have this amazing tube preamp built by this guy Jack Rohn called Noble Amplifier, and I use that. I bring my bass in that tube preamp.
I was gonna say amps on stage.
No amps on stage, and I leave a pedal board in the band van also with like.
So you literally just roll in like with one bag.
Yeah,
and
bass
and your suit,
a lunch box, a lunch pail, a bass, and a preamp, and I'm good to go.
And you get 50, 60 gigs a year.
Yeah, and the pay's great.
And the pay's great, and it's
so. You know some of these guys. I'm really fortunate. The rhythm section is the best rhythm section
John
I've ever
Tamakos?
John Tamakos on drums, John's a living legend. If you don't know who John is, I feel fortunate to get to play with him on a weekly basis.
I've never played with him. I've actually never met him, but of course I know who he is.
He's the man. Nice guy, great guy. Todd Miller plays guitar.
Yeah.
And then it's a guy out of D.C. named Deontay Childers. We call him DJ. He plays keys, and DJ could correct me, but I think he's literally been playing in church since he was like 4 or 5 years old. So he's like in his mid-20s and already has been playing professionally for, on a weekly basis for like 20 years. So the rhythm section's awesome. And then there's 3 singers, and they're great. The band leader's guy, Travis Tucker, and he's amazing. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just goes and goes. He sings, he dances, he's incredible. And Laura Manzer sings, she's awesome. She does all like the AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, in addition to more current top 40.
But
all the 80s hair metal, or not, I don't know why I said hair metal, all the 80s rock that nobody else can sing.
Right.
And then we got this guy, Ignacio. He's been in the band, I think, for like 18 years, and he's kind of our hype man. And
18 years, that's a run right there.
You know what's amazing, man, is 7 people in the band, and we all get along. There's never been any drama, like not even a hint of drama. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's hard. Well, so I have a question about that. So I don't know exactly how it works with Washington Talent. I mean, I've talked with John. I know some of those dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so is someone in the band kind of in charge of the band?
Absolutely. That's Travis Tucker.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And he's the band leader,
But it's John and everybody else behind the scenes that's getting the gigs, doing the paperwork, getting the money, all that stuff. So basically,
it's great for me.
Well, that's what I mean. You don't have to do
my stock answer is, hey, I'm just the bass player. Like even at a wedding, if someone's like, oh, excuse me, do you know like what time the cake cutting is? It's like, that's above my pay grade. I'm just the bass player.
In fact, I'm gonna go hide out back.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna go like hide somewhere. But it's awesome, man. And you've done a lot of top 40 stuff, and I was suffering with some like feeling very jaded and getting burnt out. And I just like kind of rekindled like a grateful attitude. I'm like, man, I'm literally supporting my family. A big portion of that is through this agency band. And I should be grateful for that because there's a lot of other people that would be like lining up at the door for that kind of job. So
yeah, and that's how I feel too. The fact that we can support a family with an instrument,
it's amazing.
Is amazing.
Yeah.
It's truly a blessing. And doing like the top 40 thing, like you said, being with really strong players that can make, your straight down the middle tunes that everybody wants to hear fun and exciting. That's a talent in itself, and that keeps you going.
Yeah.
Because it's hard, especially like, even original bands too. I have to imagine that if you play at least half of the same set, night in, night out.
Like if you're on tour playing the same show every night, you're gonna get jaded. The grass is always greener. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and I don't know. I won't say any names, but I have a couple friends that are doing, like national or even international touring acts with like, they got endorsements and all this stuff that I, as a younger person, like was like, I gotta have endorsements. I want to be on, Bass Player Magazine and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have some friends that have done that. And then it's weird, and then I'm like, I'll post an Instagram video, and they'll text me, and they're like, "Man, that was awesome! Like, I wish I could, I wish I had the time to do that or something."
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this guy's in Japan, and I'm jealous of him, and he's jealous that like, I'm watching, Arrested Development and playing the bass or something.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, we're gonna go on a tangent here, but that's kind of the thing. People that have that life. I always wonder how people that have that. I always wanted that too when I was young.
Tour bus, all that.
Dude, yeah. Like when I went to GIT, I was like, man, I'm gonna graduate. I'm gonna get hooked up with some band. We're gonna tour. We're gonna record. Like that's the dream,
Yeah, no doubt.
And that didn't work out for a whole variety of reasons. But like now that like I have a family and stuff, like I look at guys that do that, And it's just the real truth of it, I think, is that it's just an unshareable life. You can share it with the other members of your band, but at the end of the day, like, no one really gets to come with you. You're, beholden to the same tunes every time. You never get to go see other people play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's exponential downtime as far as, like, transportation and hotels and stuff like that. Like, it is really, I can see how somebody like that would just see you kind of sitting at your house, like, obviously knowing that you're playing with your daughter that day, and then you're playing, it's just like, man, there's freedom in that.
Yeah.
And the fact that we, as local musicians in our own different ways, can support a family and have that work-life balance with an instrument is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's just important to, and I have to remind myself that, just to be grateful for, the opportunities we have. And to kind of bring it back to, you're asking some of the other bands I play with.
Go for it.
I've been at the music workshop for 7 years, teach there a couple days a week, and this band Millennium. And I play at 2 churches on Sundays. A church called Rehoboth International on Sunday mornings.
Which is not in Rehoboth.
It's not in Rehoboth. it's in Randallstown off of Liberty Road. And then, and that's like, I don't want to say it's like a strictly gospel thing, but there is some gospel elements, and then, there's like contemporary Christian music, I guess, is a genre now. It's really cool. It's a great band, and the pastor's
Now, how
awesome.
do you do 2 church gigs? I'm sure they're both on Sunday.
Well, so the other church where I render my services is called Church of Nativity, and that's actually a Catholic church out in Timonium off of York Road.
I know exactly where it is.
Okay, cool, yeah.
I've been to some weddings and baptisms there.
Yeah, and that's a amazing church also, and they do 5 services there. So they actually there's a service on Saturday evening and 4 on Sundays. So I play.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big church. So I do the I'm in the 5:30 band on Sunday evenings.
So they get different players for each services.
There's
based on who can do what.
There's some inbred going on, inbreeding, or if that's the right word. But dude, I'm jealous. Some of those guys play all 5 services, and it's an awesome church. I mean, it's a really good place to be and to play as a musician. But the 5:30 band, John Tamakos plays drums, so it's like at minimum.
So
I'm
you
playing
guys
with
are
him.
synced right now.
There's so many great drummers, and I'm fortunate to. I don't know why I get to play with these good drummers, but to play with John.
I'm sure it's because your time is great.
Well, it's hopefully, But so I get to play with John there, and the rest of the band, actually, the keyboard player is a guy named Ed Tatro, who's actually an engineer at Peabody. He's like one of the engineer professors there.
Yeah, that's ringing a bell.
He plays with like a country guy, or he used to, and I'm not going to remember the guy's name. You don't know Jeff Malcolm, do you? A bass player?
I know that name. I don't know, man.
Thank you, Jeff. He's the reason I got into that church. I started subbing there, and an opportunity kind of was, the sun was peaking up, and I sort of seized an opportunity, and I told him, I was like, hey, I want to be the guy. I'd like to play here on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
After pestering the Church of Nativity for a couple months, they were like, okay, you can. They're like, you can have the 5:30 spot, but so I do that, and that's like the weekly stuff, and then a whole lot of filling in the schedule. Our friend David Andrew Smith, I play with him a good bit. Started playing with this girl Rachel Ann Morgan.
Now that I don't think I know her either.
She's cool. She's great. So and we have like a monthly residency in Fells Point, like first Fridays.
And I see you playing with Brooks Long too sometimes.
Brooks is kind of on a sabbatical, but Brooks and I went to college together. He's one of my best friends. I mean, he's a brother to me. And,
dude, I've always been a fan of. I've never met him either, but I've always been a fan of his stuff.
He's my. I should be careful what I say like about favorites and stuff like that, because there's so many great musicians, and it's fun to play with everybody. Brooks is.
You can have favorites.
Brooks is the kind of guitar player that I really love to play with. His rhythm, his like rhythm guitar is just ridiculous, so funky, Brooks has turned me on to so much music over the last 15 years, and the stuff that I really like to listen to is pretty much all stuff that Brooks turned me on to, which is basically Motown and soul, rhythm and blues. And, but he's working at the Creative Alliance now, and more of a I don't know, maybe administrative, or not even that. He's like booking shows and stuff, and if I was a better friend, I'd know exactly what he was doing. But so he's on a bit of a sabbatical, but that was awesome. playing with Brooks when we were really doing that thing. And I mean, you know how it is.
It's so many people.
I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Actually, there's a couple people that I'm excited about playing. There's a great drummer named Justin Tice who I met recently. He plays with this girl Rachel and a guitar player named Paul Tokars. Who you'd love Paul, man. He's an awesome guitar player.
Connect me with him.
Yeah, I will, absolutely. Paul, if you're watching, we're gonna hook you up.
Please do.
But they've moved from LA. I think they were, I forget, maybe at MIT or a school out there.
Yeah.
These guys, they're awesome.
Yeah.
And so we have like a little jazz funk soul trio that we've been doing like just hotel lobby gigs and stuff. But it's cool. it's for me, it's like totally refreshing. A chance where I get to not like I like soloing, but I don't have to solo. But it's like kind of encouraged. In that little trio.
They want you to stretch it. Well, it's a trio.
Yeah, you know. So we're playing like some jazz standards, trying to work on our straight ahead capabilities, but also more just groove oriented stuff. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but you know that keeps me pretty busy. And then, as you know, the random sub call, which we're talking about, it's like less than 48 hours notice, and it's literally like, hey, can you learn 50 songs for $100?
I'm literally, I told you, I'm literally going to release a video on this subject,
that's right,
like in the next day or so.
Yeah, it'll literally be like, hey, I got 35 songs that you need to learn and drive 2 hours, and the gig's $100. And the worst part is I'm like, yeah, I can do that. I've actually been saying no to those a little bit more, just to try and have some nights off with my family.
Well, dude, I mean, yeah, I understand. Literally, when I first moved back here, I was doing tons of that stuff and saying yes to everything, especially when I was like flat broke and straight up needed the money, you know?
$100 is $100, you know?
It's $100 I don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, once I started having kids and started, you know, kind of changing my priorities to I'm going to work less for more money and, you know, try to figure out a different path that's more sustainable. It's like, yeah, just less and less of that stuff. You know, it's just the $100 12-hour days.
Oh, man.
It's just brutal. Well, let's play another one.
Sure. I'll just say, unless it's something you really love. I mean, I love playing anytime I get paid to play the bass is amazing. But like, you know, with Brooks, we'd go like drive in his van to New York to play a show for no money. But he was writing original songs, and the drummer Dan Samuels and I were contributing to the arrangements. And it was like, we got this band that we really believe in. Yeah. And so that was a reason. It's like, yeah, let's drive to New York to do this gig, and we're all going to probably spend a little bit of money out of our pockets just to get there and back. But it was fun. You know what I mean?
Well, see, with that type of thing, I feel very differently. You know, like I want, in fact, I'm looking for more projects that are interesting like that. Because I think that we'll all agree that, you know, the actual playing is not really what we get paid for. Because, like, you know, we're having fun for that. It's all the crap that goes along with it. It's the driving. It's the moving of heavy gear.
No doubt.
You know, it's the coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning and you happen to wake up at 7 when your kids wake up. That's the stuff that you got to get paid for. But as far as, like, projects that you really, really like, we all would do it for free.
Yeah.
You know, because that's why we picked it up in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what you want to do? Give me some changes in a rhythm.
Oh, I don't know, man. It's funny. I just put the P bass down, and then I'm like, oh, let's play like a slow blues, and I'm thinking I should probably get the P bass back. But I'll try slow blues on the round wound jazz bass, even though.
You do whatever you want, my friend.
Maybe you know,
you pick a key.
Slow blues in F.
Yes.
Like. Boom, 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 boom,
flat 6?
Sure.
Let's go to 5.
All right.
Now go up to the flat 6.
Cool.
Yeah. Go for it. Give me that pickle.
Yeah.
Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, let's jam on the 1 and the 4. I think I'm messing up, but that's all right.
I'll follow you.
It's just music.
Yeah, because whenever in doubt, you can always go.
Yeah. I love these kind of guitar parts, like.
I figured one out. Those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Take one. Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah, whoa! Yeah. Whoops.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
That
Cool.
was fun, man.
That was cool, man.
Dude.
Slow, like playing those slow tempos is hard, especially without like a backbeat.
It's real. It's real hard to do, especially when you try to change it and then come back to it.
Yeah.
But dude, that was awesome.
That was
man.
awesome. You know what's funny? Maybe to talk about gear for a second.
That's what we're going to.
I'm such a P bass guy, like flat wound P bass. That's all I want to play. And I usually have a jazz bass out of necessity, particularly for the like corporate stuff, the top 40 rock stuff, or even the church and nativities, like I call it pure Christian rock. And just the round wounds. I mean, you could do a P bass with round wounds, and that sounds awesome also. But I sort of have it out of necessity. But excuse me, as I said before we started jamming, I picked this up just because I figured I should play it. But the whole time I'm kind of like, I wish I had my flat wound P bass, because there's just a certain like tone and vibe to it that I associate with. So that being said, we could talk about this for a second.
Okay, so run us through the gamut. So
let's throw this out the door.
Let's do the gear thing now.
Sure.
Okay, so why do you have what you have?
Okay, well,
tell us the story.
Sure. This is actually the Fender Flea copy. It's like the Road Worn series.
Yeah.
You check it out, man. Oh, so it's 2 volumes and 2 tones. Like
gotcha.
So this is supposed to be based off of Flea's 61 jazz bass. Even to the I'm not like personally a big fan of buying like jeans that already have holes in them. Same thing with like a bass that already
they wear out quick enough already.
So, but you know what? I went to Bill's Music in Catonsville and I played this thing, and it was ridiculous. Like I feel like out of 100 of these, this was the one. Because all that like what do they call it? Lined. Help me out here, like
quality control.
Yeah, quality control. I was going to say like when you're assembly line, like assembly line stuff, quality control is going to vary. But this,
the window is big, especially with Fender stuff in general. Like you can get magic stuff, but it's like it's 1 out of 100.
Exactly. So, anyways, this was the one. It needed a setup, so I took it to. Do you know Mike Forrester and his called Forrester Customs? He's in Parkville, Maryland. He's a luthier.
I don't know him.
Mike is. He's one of the guys, man.
Okay.
He's awesome. So anytime I get an instrument, I like have to take it to Mike and just get him to do his thing.
Yeah.
Level the frets or whatever. So anyways, this is like a Flea. I don't know if this is going to show up on camera or not, but even you can see this edge.
Yeah, you can kind of walk it up there.
Sure. So it's supposed to be a copy of Flea's 61, and it's a Mexican Fender, and it's killer. It's all stock. Dude, the resonance, I like it. The only thing I want to do is put flat wounds on it, but I need a bass with round wounds. So
that is why you have 2 basses with you. One's flat, one's round.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it.
Oh, a band that I forgot that I play with a lot, and that's one of the main reasons I have this bass, is a Zydeco band called the Crawdaddies.
Dude, you play in the Crawdaddies?
Yeah.
Dude, I love Zydeco, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great band. I mean, do you know Chris Huntington?
I know who he is.
He's an awesome like telly player. I mean, he's just a great guitar player.
Yeah.
But he really knows. He's got that telly like country twang thing down. And Craig Greif plays accordion, and he's like pretty much a virtuoso. Like I don't say that lightly. Craig is amazing.
Accordion player.
And piano player, dude. Craig played with like Barry White like back in the day. He was the music director for Barry White, and I think like Diana Ross. I wouldn't bet money on that, but
he's like a pro.
He's played with some serious cats.
Yeah.
And but he's like no joke on the accordion. And then it's a drummer named Rod Gross who's great. And anyways, like I really got into it. I did a couple sub gigs with them, and I was really liking the way Rod Gross was playing. Like I could tell he knew his shit. He wasn't just playing like some fake Zydeco drum beats. It was obvious he'd studied, so that inspired me to like listen to some records and do some research. And just learn. Almost like if you're gonna play blues, you got to know a couple stock like blues patterns, whether it's on guitar or bass, or if you're going to play whatever, like a funk song or like gospel shout music, there's like some stock things you need to know. So I wanted to learn like the stock Zydeco things. And what I noticed is a lot of the guys were playing jazz basses with a real punchy sound. So that is one of the main reasons I have this particular round wound jazz bass.
Gotcha.
Was for the Crawdaddies, just so I want to be. And we get back into gear. I want to be known as the guy that's like going to be accountable, learn the music, show up with the proper gear. you know, and like even look the part if you have to. As fickle as that is, that's like a big part of the
Well,
industry.
especially when you do the corporate stuff.
Yeah, or I mean, like if you're playing if we're playing that slow blues thing, and I showed up with like a 8-string, you know, Ibanez bass guitar, they might kick you out the gig before you've even played a beat. You know.
Yeah. Just ignore that.
Sure. So, anyways, this is the Fender Jazz Bass. It's
What in the world is going on? Yeah. Keep going.
Man, I was doing. I'm embarrassed to say how many basses I've owned.
Yeah, I want to hear it, man. I want to hear it.
And that's just basses in terms of amps and cabs and pedals. I couldn't even begin to count. But I was crunching some numbers. This is bad. I think I've owned the ones that I can remember owning are 45 different basses.
That's a lot, dude.
It's so stupid. And it's just
45.
like it's like a
and
quest.
now you're down to 2.
Now I'm down to 2. Actually, I have a sweet little short scale bass that is like I bought for my wife so she could like play a little bit, and now we like put it on the floor. My daughter, you know, hits it and stuff. Yeah. And I have like a major Frankenstein relic, or not relic. That's not the right word. Basically, going back to Mike Forrester, I have a 1972 Fender P bass with a jazz neck, and anyways, but it was like basically a dumpster find, and so Mike's had a restoration is what I'm looking for. Okay. So I have a 72, but it's like a long process of getting restored to
literally in a dumpster.
No, not literally in a dumpster. It might as well have been, man. It's
right,
like
for all intents and purposes.
It's a really nice bass, but I won't even get into it. It was sort of like a deal gone bad on my part, and I just had to like bite the bullet and be like, all right, well now I need to invest some more money to get this thing up to par. But this is the only. This is a Fender Highway 1 P bass, which is a discontinued series from, I think this is a 2003, and my parents bought this for me in the summer of 2004, and this is the bass that I've played more than any other instrument, and it's just
stock.
You know what? I put a bunch of different pickups. I don't like the pickups I have in right now, and I don't want to say who the company is to throw anybody under the bus, but I'll say this, I want to put some Lawler pickups. Have you heard of that guy, Lawler?
Oh, yeah.
So I had Lawler pickups in a different P bass, and I thought those were awesome. And I love Lenny Fralin's. I like the Aguilar pickups, but these particular pickups are like a little too modern for me. And the funny thing is this bass, this is like super nerdy, and only bass players will care about this, but you know, there's the different shapes of a neck, like C shape, A width, or whatever. This is a modern C shape. And I don't like it. I like a more vintage, like I almost like a baseball bat, like cut in half. Yeah. Because it sort of limits what you can play. You know, you don't get too notey on it. It's real thin. It's skinny. Yeah. But I love the bass. I can never get rid of it because this was like when I first got into bass, and I begged my parents, you know, to buy this for me, and they did.
So you've had that since then.
Yeah. This is literally the only bass I've
never
never sold.
Gone through 45 basses, and this is the only one that hasn't changed.
Has stayed.
Maybe the pickups have changed, but that's it.
Yeah, I've changed the pickups out a bunch of times. Or not, I haven't done it personally. I'm
all right,
a total
can I
idiot.
ask this real stupid question?
Yeah, please.
Why do you have foam there?
Oh, dude, the foam, it's just, I like that old soul Motown vibe.
I mean, obviously it messes with your sustain, though.
It does. That's kind of the whole point. So, like, if I took it out, I don't really know what to play. Okay, so
anything.
One of my favorite bass lines is the Tommy Cogbill line on Tommy Cogbill played on a lot of 60s records, and he played on Respect. Turn this down a little bit because I think this bass is a little hotter.
You're good.
So without the foam, and I'll just do everything wide open. So this is like an approximation, but the bass line is to Respect. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the verse. Anyways, so you know how you can like mute if you play everything with your first finger?
Yeah.
So I'll try and do that a little bit more with the first finger this time. I'm sorry, I'm so used to rolling the tone back.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work. And it's kind of sloppy sounding. For me, I haven't really mastered that technique. Put the foam in there, and it's just going to mute the strings and give it that old school sound. It's not going to be a drastic difference, but. And I have to roll the tone off a little bit.
Yeah.
Coming up on the verse. So I actually end up doing a combination of a left hand mute and the foam, and I just like the way it sounds. It's like
No, dude, it sounds like good bass, man.
You know what's funny is a couple years ago I was playing with once again I'm not going to say any names, but I was playing I got a gig for a year that I thought was like, this is it, like I'm going to be like, this is it, you know, I'm going to be on the tour bus playing the festivals, Letterman or whatever, all the stuff that has always been sort of goals of mine. And after a year I lost the gig, and this was like a couple years ago, and I think it's because I was spending so much time working on like soloing and chording, and I sort of like, if I'm being honest, I guess I decided like, yeah, I'm a good bass player, like I don't need to like work on my traditional bass playing anymore, and
they just wanted that sound straight, just
and it
perfect,
But there's like so many, as it's almost like it gets more minute the deeper you go into like your tone or your, you know, stylistic stuff. And I basically, in my mind, I lost the gig because I wasn't like providing that traditional bass that this artist wanted, and that crushed me, man. It's like still to this day like a little psychological thing that I have to deal with. But so it really made me get more serious about like getting back into traditional bass playing, and now that's all I want to do. And it's like, you talk about a guy like Brooks Long, or when I was playing in Old Man Brown, I wish that like I could play in that type of group now. That's what that's the thing I want to do more than any other thing, I'll say that, is just play like soul, Motown, rhythm and blues stuff, because now I know like I have a better understanding of how to approach that music.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I'm kind of ranting there, but
no, it's true. Like
I think it's important. Sorry to cut you off, but especially in this day and age of like YouTube and Instagram, it's like unreal how many amazing musicians there are. Like there's like a 13-year-old kid shredding like a Eddie Van Halen solo or like a Jocko solo and playing it almost like better than they did. On a side note, my theory is there's always been amazing musicians. It's just now with social media, it's instant like content.
If you have a phone, you know, you can put it out there.
So, but I think like maybe a lot of us are losing sight of. I think of the bass guitar as like an offensive lineman, and this is like a stock thing I tell my students.
Go on, I love this.
But you know, like this is an actual conversation I had with a student of mine. He had to learn wagon wheel. You know, he's a teenager, you know, so he'd never heard it before, and he's in a band and they wanted to play it, and you know, it's like a kind of country bluegrass sort of, you know, this sort of root fifth, boom cat, and he was like, that's boring. Like what can I do to spice it up? And I was telling him, I was like, man, that's kind of the bass line. Like I can show you a couple little leading tones and like a little extra rhythmic stuff, but it's like if you're an offensive lineman, you know, or I'll say this, the first thing I say is every good running team has a great offensive line. Yeah. And I won't get too off subject on football.
No, I like it. I like this stuff.
Anyways, every good running or every good offense, it's because they have a good offensive line to protect the running back, to protect the quarterback. And as a bass player, if you have that offensive line responsibility, you don't ask the coach to do a trick play and run 80 yards down the field and catch a touchdown. It's like that's not in your job.
Block a dude in front of you.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. That is your job description, not catching a touchdown. So, you know, and I think this teenager, didn't like that answer. So I was like, all right, man. Well, you know, I'll show you some stuff that, you know, some cool little fills or whatever. But really, it's like that's if you're playing like a bluegrass country tune. Yeah. You know, that's the main. I mean, I'm kind of playing slow right now, but that's sort of the responsibility, you know. And I've gotten really into that. I've really embraced that, and going back to playing with John Tomakos. I mean, he's been the best teacher. Whether he won't even admit it, but I've learned so much just from playing with that guy. And we have this ongoing joke where because in Millennium we have the in-ear monitors and we use talkback microphones so we can talk to each other during the gig without the audience hearing. Yeah. And he'll keep us in check. Like let's say we're playing Wagon Wheel and I start like doing something like this. Hey, he'll say, "Hey, Ian, we're playing Wagon Wheel," you know. And it was this joke that we had. Anytime someone started getting too outside of the sort of context of the song, we'd just check each other. And I'm happy to say he hasn't told me what song we're playing in a long time, you know. But it was a regular thing for a long time. Or, you know, we'd be playing like I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston, and he'd be like, "Hey, do you know what song we're playing right now?" And it's like, okay. But it was just like a kind of fun way to keep us all in check.
No, that's great advice. It's also I don't know if hard's the right way, but it's a hard place to get to as a musician too. Because I feel like when you first start, you're so inspired and your initial hurdles are pretty steep, and then when you develop a pretty strong, you're pretty confident, and you start feeling like, all right, I'm actually good with this thing. I could do this for a living, or at least like, I feel like myself on this instrument. This is a part of me now. It's your natural response to, all right, I'm bored with that. How can I spice it up? Play faster, play more notes. I want to do more things outside. You start getting into more jazzy and fusion stuff and getting real heady with it, and because you're getting better and better. And then I feel like when you start working more and gigging more, you realize that it's being better at playing inside.
Exactly, man.
Is what really gets people dancing on the dance floor. What makes people hire you? It's why you get
That's
calls.
what they want. You know what I mean?
It is what they want. And that's such great advice that you give them, like that football analogy, because I genuinely feel these days like I'm on the hunt to be inside, but just do it better.
Yeah.
And bluegrass is what did that for me.
Oh, cool.
Getting into bluegrass.
Yeah.
Because you never even get like seventh chords for the most part. You might get like a little bit like of a
maybe a minor 7 or something.
Like maybe,
yeah.
But it's just like for the most part it's real simple changes, real simple chords, but it's like super dynamic. Rhythm is perfect, harmonies are perfect, all the parts are perfect.
Yeah.
And little
parts. That's what I'm getting more and more into, and
perfect simple parts.
Have you ever heard of a band called Stuff?
No, but now I want to.
Yeah, you gotta check them out, or anybody who's watching. That's the band. It was a bunch of New York guys. I mean, a lot of them are still alive, but the band's not together anymore. But it was Steve Gadd on drums, Cornell Dupree on guitar, and I think the other guitar player's name was Eric Gale. The piano player was
Eric Gale's the
not like the left hand upside
down.
Yeah,
okay, all right.
I think that's Gales with an S.
Yes.
And I believe this other guy is just Gale. I think his first name's Eric, but maybe not. Richard T played piano, and then this bass player Gordon Edwards. And these are all like heavy studio session guys. And Stuff is like this melting pot of gospel, like country, blues, R&B, soul, and it's all parts, man. It's there are solos in it, but it's just feel good. Like anyone who will listen to me, I'm like, you have to listen to Stuff.
I will remember that. I'm gonna check that out as soon as you leave.
The first album is awesome. Stuff. It's just stuff. Then this is just my opinion, as happens a lot with record labels. The second album, I feel like you can tell the label was trying to push them in like a more commercial direction. And the playing's still good, but like they started adding lyrics, and it's like kind of disco. I know, yeah, stupid words. Yeah, man. I mean, we could talk all day. One thing I do want to say, like for the musicians who are maybe wanting to be professionals or just wanting to play guitar, that thing I was talking about, the offensive lineman.
Yeah.
There's two sides to that. There's a great bass player named Marcus Miller, and I read an article of his. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but he said, and this really helped, especially teaching, it changed my teaching philosophy. Instead of always saying, don't do that, do this. What Marcus said is, let's say you have a bass player who's just starting and they want to do all this tapping and playing chords and crazy slap stuff and soloing, but they don't want to learn how to play Mustang Sally or Wagon Wheel. Whatever you do, don't tell them to not do this. If they want to play chords and I mean, I can't tap and all that crap, but eventually that stuff, the techniques that they're learning are only going to make them a better musician. And eventually, if they're trying to get gigs and they're doing all this crap during Wagon Wheel, they're not going to get any gigs, and they're going to be forced.
They're going to figure that out.
They're going to figure out like what the traditional responsibility, and that doesn't mean just bass player. That's guitar, drums, or that could be like a sport, anything. But I think that's really important. So I have this high school student. He's like excelling at a scary rate, and he's really into some of these YouTube people, kind of like yourself, that they're just putting a lot of content out there, and these bass players that are doing like pyrotechnics, and he wants to learn all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, have you ever heard the Meters? Like, do you know the song Sissy Strut? Like, this is a song that everybody needs to know because it's kind of like a jam standard, you know what I mean? And he's not really into that, but he's doing amazing stuff, and now he's writing songs and playing chords on the bass, and he's like doing it all by ear.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say that's wrong. You know, it's kind of like, okay, man, well, you maybe get to college and like you try to join a band, and there's 3 guitar players in the band. You can't be playing strictly above the 12th fret. Like eventually you're gonna have to get down here. But
Yeah.
opinions are like,
Yeah.
some kind of hole that we all have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Everybody's got it.
Yeah.
Dude, well, I'll tell you what. We've been talking a while. Let's play another, and then we'll play gear, and then we'll talk about the rest of the gear. And we'll call it a day.
Sure, man. Yeah, sounds great.
All right.
What you got?
I don't know. You want to do some of that country-ish stuff?
Yeah, totally. Like
You want fast? What do you want?
whatever. What key and what numbers?
Give me a 1-4-5 in G. We'll keep it simple. Man.
Sure. Yeah.
Why not?
Why don't you start it off?
Thought I was going to 4 there, dude.
I didn't know.
Something silly.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to show how you could maybe spice this up a little bit.
Go for it.
Depending on the context. Well, yeah. I lost my place.
Here's your 1.
Let's stay on the G just for a second.
I'll follow you.
That's a good one. You know, sometimes it's like, how Phil Lesh, Grateful Dead do you want to go with it? Which is, I mean that as a good thing. You know, it's got a little bounce to it.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That was cool.
All right, so all right, we talked about the bass. Let's talk about this big old heavy thing you
Oh
have
yeah,
here.
seriously. Just like the basses, man, I've had so many different cabs and amps and stuff, and I always come back to Aguilar. There's, I'm not, no endorsements or anything like that. I've tried. They haven't returned my phone calls, and that's okay.
You got to keep poking them.
Yeah.
There's no that's the only trick.
There's so much great gear out there, and just like basses, man, they're like they'll. I know people that play like active basses, 5-string, 6-string, and they sound awesome. And then I pick up their bass, and I just don't identify with it. And
Have you ever played 5-string?
Yeah, I've had a couple 5-strings, and
no, you don't need a 5-string for the Millennium gig.
I got this octave pedal down here. I cheat,
Yeah.
I play up the neck and have it the sound.
And then when
down
you
an
need a low
octave.
B, just boop.
Yeah, man, especially in the gospel church, I really
Right.
should use a 5-string, but once again, I just don't really identify with it. I feel like I play better on a 4-string, and I'm just trying to embrace that. It's
fair enough, man.
I do want to respect the music, but I'd rather play like comfortably than like get confused on the 5-string bass. And I've owned 6-string basses and played them on gigs where I shouldn't have played them.
That's how I feel about guitars, man.
Yeah.
Like people are like, they 7 strings and alternate tunings. Like, man, I'm still trying to figure this thing out.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much to learn. But I've had other cabs and amps that are just awesome. And it was for whatever reason, then I would like play an Aguilar rig, and I'd just be like, man, I really identify with this. I like old Ampeg stuff, like at the 8x10, they had this Ampeg, a 6 10-inch speakers, and I love that. And there's other bass players that probably don't identify with that because it's like maybe a little more old school or rock sounding, but that's the sound that I like. So these are just two 112s, no tweeter. So there's not a lot of high end content, but I play them, and man, one of my best friends, this guy Jerry Burstein, he's got a lot of nice gear, and we get together and we'll literally line up a wall of different amps and cabs, and we'll loop bass lines so that it's not like the playing is different. I'll play like maybe 16
and
bars.
transfer from one to the other.
Yeah, so it's the
How
bass
cool
playing
is
is
that?
exactly the same, and then and we'll even use like the same amps, so the settings are the
Can
same.
we do a video of that one day?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
I got that idea from a guy named Spencer Doreen who has 3-Leaf Audio. I use a lot of his pedals, but he was doing a demo of his fuzz pedal, or like a bunch of his different pedals, and he just looped a bass line in a TC Electronic Ditto, and then was showing like, oh, the thing was, so you could tweak the knobs like with both hands instead of feeling like you have to play. So,
yeah.
And I thought it was like an Instagram video, and he was showing like the dynamics of this envelope filter, but I thought,
Yeah.
holy crap, like why did I never think of that? I'll loop a bass line and then I can demo my gear, and my wife helps me out. Like she's got good taste, so
Does she?
I think so. And
That's
like
amazing.
so I'll like play different amps and or different cabs, and she likes the way these sound the best. She's like, it's just got like a warm sound.
Dude,
to it.
I want to get back to these because these are ceramic and that's,
Yeah.
but like I'm always so intrigued by that. I know so many people where their wives or husbands, whatever, are extremely vocal and like really have opinions
Yeah.
about their spouse's gear, and mine couldn't care less. Like at all.
Because you got it down here in the studio, you know.
But
what I
even
mean?
when I'm
Yeah.
gigging, like she has never once made a comment like maybe you should play something different. She'll say maybe you should wear something different.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe you should shave.
Oh yeah, no, I need to like ask I'm like, Lindsay, like, does this look all right? She's like, yeah, you look great. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Wear shoes, not flip flops.
Yeah, yeah.
She's
like, are you really gonna wear,
Yeah. Did you shower this week?
Well, I am a dad, so we do have a kid, so maybe.
It's like, stop.
Yeah.
You have spit up on your shirt.
Yeah.
Turn around.
Exactly.
But as far as gear, I mean, anyway, that's just a side thing.
Totally.
But I want to hear about these. So these things are heavy, and you're like, dude, they're ceramic.
They're heavy, man. And that's another thing. I've tried Neo speakers and stuff, and there's something about the joke I say is my ears like ceramic and my back likes Neo.
Yeah.
But
the ears win.
You know what? I actually have a Fender Bassman 115 that has a Neo speaker in it, and it sounds awesome. And I use that a lot for like, if the gig is, it's only a 115, so like if I was playing, like when we did the What's Next gig, I wouldn't bring it to that because it would hit its comfort level too soon. But for like a blues gig, that 115 sounds awesome, and it does have a Neo speaker. So, but the cabinet is massive also. I mean, it's like hard to carry, even though it's only 45 pounds or something. But I just, dude,
brutal though.
I really like these. Aguilar's got a bunch of different cabinets. This is their DB series. Do you know Eric Bouchard?
Yes.
Eric plays. I think he's got a 210 DB one or DB. Sorry, the DB series. He has a 210. I think he has a 410 also. 410's like literally 104 pounds or something insane. So I could never.
You need
carry
a
that.
lift.
Yeah, but and then this is just like one of their solid state lightweight amps. It weighs, I mean, 2
now,
pounds, 3 pounds.
Now, do you have tube amps as well, or do you just pretty much stay solid state?
I have 2 awesome tube preamps, which we could talk about in a second. But yeah, I like the tube thing, and I would like to get a Fender Bassman 300, which is like a 300 watt all tube bass amp. This sounds amazing. But yeah, once again, I think the listed weight is 86, and that's probably conservative. And it's like the way the work that we do, I just can't carry around an 86-pound head.
Unless you leave it in the trailer.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to do that either because of all the tubes. But dude, this sounds awesome. Actually, right now I'm using the Noble preamp, which is this tube preamp on the floor, into the effects return. So this is basically just a power amp right now, and then I'm getting the sound and the EQ out of the Noble.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this sounds great if you plug into it also. I just
so you straight up don't use the input. You just write to the effects return.
Right to the effects return. So the EQ on here is like bypass. So you could turn the bass all the way up. It's not going to change the sound.
Now I've never seen anybody do that. So literally, you're just using this as power. You're not using any of these like all the bright, the deep, the DB
none
cut.
Of that.
None of it. None of it.
It's like a 700 watt
just
power amp.
Just master volume.
Yeah, but this sounds really good also.
And why do you do that?
Because I have the two. I have the Noble, this tube preamp on the floor, and I love it. It's a boost only EQ. To me, it's just like it's a great sound. I use that all the time. The Noble is the single-handed best piece of gear I've ever bought.
I'm gonna grab this so people can see it.
Yeah, man.
So
this is the Noble. This is made by a guy, Jack Rohn, who's a husband and father out in California. He hand makes them all by hand, and it's a boost only EQ. I barely even have the boost on right now. It's just a little bit of bass and a little bit of treble, and it just sounds awesome. I can't do a gig without it, or I can. I just don't like to. It's amazing. And check this out, dude. He's got 6 9-volt power, so I can power 6 pedals with my preamp.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? And he can do mods, so you could have like a 12 volt or 18 volt or whatever.
And how much do those run?
I think I would 100% say it's worth every dollar. I think there
whatever
may be,
the dollar is.
Whatever, if I lost that or it was stolen, I would immediately start saving to buy another one. I think it's about $1,000, maybe a little more. But it's, dude,
But did you also use that for the Millennium gigs?
Yeah, I literally use it almost every gig. I mean, it paid for itself a couple of years ago. It's just.
But I mean, you don't have to worry about amps going out and all that other stuff.
Exactly, and it's awesome. And I mean, there's like a low pass, or I mean, what is it? A high pass?
Or it's a high pass.
A high pass cut. I forget. I'm such an idiot. But
I love how you have your bass and treble just like all the way down.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a slight boost. That's all the way off.
Yeah.
There's an amazing bass player named Sean Hurley, an LA session guy. He played in Vertical Horizon, and he plays for John Mayer.
Yeah.
And I saw an Instagram post where because before I did this was sort of my go-to, but it's a boost only. So the more you boost it, you're actually cutting your mids a little bit unintentionally, or maybe intentionally. And I saw a thing where he had his completely off. Sean had it maybe like that. Mm-hmm. And then there's another bass player out there named Mark. I actually don't even know how to say his last name. It was a guy I follow on Instagram. And he started doing the Sean Hurley EQ, and then I started doing it, and I'm sure other people did it also. And in no way am I putting myself in the same league as those guys. It's just, that's one of the great things about Instagram. You can follow these, musicians that you look up to and steal some of their sound, their settings and stuff.
Yeah.
But I also have another tube preamp by this guy, Jewel Potter. It's called the Monique. And that's awesome. That's kind of to me, like an Ampeg on steroids. And I use that a lot. I use that every Sunday at the Catholic church. And I use that a lot for studio sessions. I like them both. This, in terms of the form factor, is awesome. It's hard to beat. And our good buddy Sean, I've been trying to convince him to buy one of these. I'm like, dude, you're gonna love it. I've told him he could borrow it. Because I'm fortunate I have the Monique. I use the Monique a lot in studio stuff. It just seems like the engineers really like it because it's, like I said, it's got this Ampeg sound on it. But I'd the church I play at Sunday mornings. I don't bring that. I actually just use this and go direct in, and it's maybe just a slightly more modern sound because solid state versus tube, and it sounds great for that stuff. And I just like I said, man, I've had a lot of different amps and cabs, and I just always go back to Aguilar. It just works for me, you know what I mean?
Dude, it sounds good. I mean, you got your sound dialed in, that's for sure, man.
And it definitely has a sound. I think what I started to do is chasing high fidelity stuff, where I was like, I want something that's neutral. That's like a term in the bass world, like a really clean, neutral sound. And what I found is I actually wanted a little built-in character.
Yeah.
And so these cabs have a little character to them that I think works for the style and the tones that I like to go for. I don't play active basses and stuff, and I like all the bass players that I really like that are from, decades ago were playing, P basses and flat wounds, or the guys that I really like now are kind of playing P bass and flat wounds and Aguilar or Ampeg. And I think it can be, I'm sure you can relate, the musicians we look up to, it's like, oh, if I buy the strings that whoever uses, I'll be better, or if I buy the pedal that this guy uses, or the guitar that John Mayer uses, that's going to make me great. And really, none of that is true.
Of course not.
And I mean, it's I'm playing this. I've had, this is basically before they did the American Standard. This is the intro level Fender American factory instrument, and I think it's awesome. I wish the neck wasn't such a modern shape, but it's great. And that Fender Flea bass is a Mexican, and it's I like the way they sound.
Dude, that's it, man. I tell everybody, they're like, man, what should I get? I got this budget. I got whatever. I want to sound like this. I want to get good. And it's just get something, whatever it is that you identify with that you can't put down, because then you'll play more and you'll get better.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Don't sweat. I gotta have this because this guy had it. Everybody's looking for that silver bullet. You
Oh,
know?
dude, and I like still struggle with that. I've kind of, my latest like window shopping addiction on Reverb is like a 1963 P bass, and there's like a couple of them on there, and it's way out of my price range. But that's like sort of my goal. What I would like to do now is get into the vintage market, but like responsibly, save up money where it's not affecting
how you live.
Yeah, I saw this. I'm gonna text it to you so you can put it on your Instagram. But it's
please do.
It's like a picture of a superhero, and there's like two pictures, and it says like be a responsible adult, and the superhero is like freaking out, and then the other picture is like buy a new bass guitar, you know. Or I'm not explaining it well, but it's just funny, and I mean that's I mean, you know, you got kids, and it's like some new pedal comes out, or like PRS does a new amp or something, and it's kind of like, oh, I should probably get that, but the gear's not cheap, and you know, money doesn't grow on trees.
No shit.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Tell
sure.
me why you have these pedals, and then we'll play one more.
Sure. So I should say, if I thought about it ahead of time, I have a massive pedal board I use with Millennium that I have like fuzz, octave, overdrive,
you just have to have that sound
all the
for those
sounds,
songs.
and you know, I'd like to like play key bass on some of that stuff, but just for sake of portability, I try to have all the sounds.
Yeah.
So that board is mostly this company 3-Leaf Audio I was telling you about. And Sean, how do you say his last name? Rosano?
It's
or
Beal Rosano.
Okay, so Sean, he uses some 3-Leaf stuff,
Yeah.
and I think he just bought a couple more of their pedals. This guy Spencer makes like, and I believe he makes it all by hand. I mean, it's like one guy doing it.
I don't know, but Sean's always got some new stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But anyways, so you know, this is just a tuner. This is a 3-Leaf octave pedal, and this is the mini on the agency.
Let me hear that octave
Yeah,
pedal.
on the agency band. So I'll play for a second. Like, so let's say I was playing. I can never think of what to play. I'll just play like. Let me turn it up a little bit. So for me, there's endless tweakable settings. To me, that's the setting I like to use with this pedal. Now check this out. On the bigger version, which I do have, so this is the Octave Mini, but they have the original one's the Octave, and there's a solo sub switch. So on here, you actually have to change the setting, but this is nothing but the affected signal, which I wouldn't use for that kind of bass line, but let's say you're playing like some stupid EDM thing and you have overdrive and you're going like, you know. Versus just playing like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll play that during the verses, and then it's like.
I bet that works great.
And the cool thing is, on the bigger version of the Octave, there's a sub select switch, so I can just step on another button and immediately.
So you have that on your big board.
On my big board, yeah. And so I have this sound, you know. So on the verse, I could play. You know.
Sounds good.
Unfortunately, here I have to turn over and change it, but then I'd step on this button and it sounds great with like.
Punchy too.
Yeah, like put some fuzz on it. Little delay. And I've been really getting into like a lot of those EDM bass lines are on the upbeats, so it'd be like, do me a favor, can you just count to 4 over and over again?
1, 2, 3.
Keep that going.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's pretty sweet.
It's awesome, and you know this, but I use the round wound bass, so it bites a little harder, and just doing these slides like 3, 4, 1. So that's like, and I get off on that kind of stuff because if you're playing, if I have to play Timber by Pitbull for the like literally the, you know, couple hundredth time, I'm just like, I hate this song. So let me make it like a little more enjoyable for myself. But so yeah, man, the 3-Leaf stuff I can't recommend enough. That guy, there's a couple companies that I like, you know, like to and like take pictures of them, post on Instagram and stuff, because I just think they're like individual people. Like this guy Jack, like I said, he's a husband and a father, and he's making these nobles by hand, and it's like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? And you can call him up on the phone. Like, I have his phone number. We've talked on the phone. We text.
Right.
He's nice, you know, and like, I feel like I have a relationship with the guy. I've never met him. We live on opposite sides of the country, but he knows who I am and I know who he is. And
that's cool.
You know, you don't get that with a lot of the bigger companies.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But this is a Way Huge Electronics. It's just it's an overdrive and a fuzz, and this is a new thing they just put out. Way Huge. It's called the Pork and Pickle. So it's a combination of the pork loin, which was their soft clip overdrive, which I love. I have two
and
of
the
those.
swollen pickle.
And the swollen pickle. So that last setting I did was the pickle setting. But the overdrive, like, I don't really use it too. I should probably get the. Let me just grab the other bass real quick.
You do whatever you want to do.
It'll bite a little harder. So like, you know. So at the church, there's a Church of Nativity. There's a song we're playing. It's called Every Beat, and the bass line's like really cool. But the verse bass line, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. But on the recording, it's like it sounds like the guy's playing with a pick through an amp peg that's just like a blown speaker, and everything's at 11. So, you know, I turn up the drive and try and little single coil hum here, but the same idea.
Fine,
1,
man.
2, 3, 4. So to me, like, that sounds really awesome, you know?
Yeah.
So I'll use it like that, or even sometimes on like a P bass, I'll use it just like a subtle bit of hair to almost sound like an old Ampeg B15 that's getting like pushed hard in the studio. So like maybe a Duck Dunn thing like Soul Man. I mean, it's really subtle without it.
Yeah. Give it a little grit.
And then the fuzz on it is just gnarly. And I very rarely use fuzz without the octave pedal. But like, I mean, I'm just making me trying to play like a Rage Against the Machine type thing. But I mean, put a little clean tone in there. I mean, that's killer, right? I would love to like do some hard rock gigs like that. Like, one of the things I think it can be, my goal is to like be in the Venn diagram, like the good part of a Venn diagram of all the different like pockets and clicks like in Baltimore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't mean like pockets and clicks like a bad thing. There's just so many different scenes.
Dude, it's true.
And I want to be the guy that's like kind of got my foot in each door, you know? And but I think sometimes you get maybe pigeonholed. Like I said, for a while I spent so much time working on like soloing and chording. People might say, don't hire Ian because he's just going to want to solo on the gig. And you know, I have to, hopefully people don't think that anymore, but I think that I had to deal with that for a while. Or they might, if you just play like the groove stuff that I want to play, then maybe someone's not going to hire you because they're like, oh, well, he can't really solo. Yeah. And it just depends what the context is. Or it's like, I love, as I've said a bunch of times, soul and Motown, and that's what I really like to play. But like if someone was like, hey, we're doing a Rage Against the Machine cover band, oh, don't call Ian, like he's not into that. It's like, dude,
I'm so into that.
I listen to that stuff in the 90s, you know what I mean? It was like headphones in the room because it was like, I don't want my parents to hear that.
Yeah.
You know, my mom probably would have like taken Evil Empire away, like, you know, or what was the song? It's like,
fuck you, do what you tell me.
Yeah, it's just like cranking that, you know, rocking out.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a different one, but yeah.
Bulls on Parade. I mean, dude, Bulls on Parade blew my mind. I was like, 10 years old or something, and it's funny. Both my parents are musicians. They turned me on to so much music.
Really, both your parents are musicians?
Yeah, my sister too.
Wow.
Or very musically talented.
Gotcha.
You know, my mom sings and played piano, and I tell her she should practice and get her chops back up because she's skilled. And my dad still gigs. He plays drums, and you know, when like in high school and middle school, my sister was like a great clarinet in like the school band and sings, and so she still sings, but. You know, they're not doing it like professionally, but I just grew up in a musical family. But it's funny because I think back and I just kind of remember my parents, like even like Weezer, you know, like the end of the Sweater song, and it's like doing that, and it goes on. I remember being like on a family trip and we were listening to that cassette tape, and my mom was just like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Bam, it's off.
You know, or like Nirvana, like I think my dad was open to it. Like we went on a trip to Cooperstown. I loved baseball when I was a kid. I was like obsessed.
Dude, my kids are so into baseball
That's
right
awesome,
now.
man. It's such a great sport.
Dude,
and
it's awesome.
So my dad took me to like the Hall of Fame, and it was cool. It was like a little road trip, and he'd play a cassette, and then I'd play a cassette, and I had like Nevermind and In Utero and the Blues Traveler album with like Hook and Run Around on it. And you know, he was playing like Led Zeppelin for me and stuff. But I bet you the Nirvana was maybe like a little too like aggressive, you know, where like I remember like sitting in traffic like in rush hour. I'm just thinking about it's like I don't think I'd want to listen to Nirvana like stuck in traffic on 95.
Just sitting there sweating.
But yeah, he's just like gotta get away, get away. But you know, he tolerated it. But anyway, I'm just rambling here, man.
Dude, no, you're good.
And then the last pedal, dude, this pedal, I can't say enough good things about this. I think MXR and like the Dunlop stuff, all the stuff that those guys own. Are great pedals, affordable pedals. And the Carbon Copy Bright is just an amazing delay. It's got this mod on it that sounds really cool, but I don't really use it on gigs too much unless it's going to get like a little out there. But I use it a lot for just, you know, my own. Put like the mod on and
go for it, man. Go for it. That's hot.
And I love like all those little like you know, the string noises. Like that stuff sounds awesome. I don't know what I'm doing. But it's got a mix on it, so you could do mostly clean and just a little bit of that.
It does sound good, man. I love that change right there.
Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking like, maybe we jam on that. So I'm doing like E major and then like a C sharp 11, or I'm always, anytime I'm asked to solo, I'm literally, this is like my, not even secret, it's just, I immediately think Lydian. And if like, let's say like you're playing E and like it's straight up E major, I'm gonna figure out what note I can start on to make it that Lydian vibe, you know what I mean? Because that's just, Lydian is such a beautiful sound. So like, so when I go to this C, right away it's C Lydian. Yeah.
It's got an evil sound to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Tune up. Yeah. Yeah.
That's some crazy shit.
way you could play E, like E major Ionian, and then just go to E Aeolian, like play E minor over the C Melidian.
Yeah. That does work.
I kind of like imagine like a Billy Corgan type Smashing Pumpkins song.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Thus
right.
the name Spaceman Ian is deserved.
Sure, yeah. But I like playing bass. I like doing that stuff, but I'm not going to do that unless you ask me to.
Well, I did ask you to. Well, dude, it's been fun, man.
Oh man, this has been my pleasure.
Dude,
I could go for, we could be here all day.
I know. I tell everybody that comes, it's like, how often do we get to hang out and just nerd out and just talk
Never,
gear and play?
you know
Never.
what I mean? Yeah.
But that's like all we did when we started playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's literally the goal of this.
Yeah, man.
Well, dude, thank you
so much.
Thank
you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, dude. So, Ian Trusheim, everybody. And where can they find you? Can you be found?
Oh, yeah. I have a website, iantrusheim.com. It's IANTRUSHEIM.
I hope I spelled that right today.
I think you did.
Good.
So iantrusheim.com. And, I haven't been on the website in a long time. So I am out gigging.
So there's no info, there's no gigs, there's no current pictures, no videos.
Pretty much, but I do respond to emails. And no, I have videos of their recordings I've done and a little bio and stuff. And no, I've been meaning, once again, my wife's been in a good, telling me, she's like, you need to let people know when you're playing and stuff. So I need to get on there. And I'm always playing somewhere, so I got to update that. But I'm on Instagram, spaceman_Ian. And I mean, we
definitely shoot me some pictures, and I'll put it up on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I'll also take a picture of your board and stuff so people can see it.
That'd be great. Yeah, and I'm on Instagram too much. I mean, posting and hanging out and stuff. All right, if you could hang out on social media. It's such a weird day and age.
Dude, it's so weird. All right, last question before you go.
Yeah, please.
Why aren't you on Facebook?
Oh, man.
It's scary out there, I know.
It's for a multitude of reasons. One of the simplest, as dorky as this is, I was getting tired of spoilers from TV shows or movies that I was followed. I'm not even joking. So I forget what the show was, but it was the grand finale, and I didn't get to watch it.
Took all the anticipation out of your life.
Man, it really bummed me out. And so then I took a break when the Force Awakens came out. I know this sounds really stupid, but I was 2 weeks before that movie. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I took a 2-week prior to the movie release, or until I was going to be able to see it. I was no social media. I don't want to see anything that's going to give away something important from that movie. And 2 weeks turned into 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and it was it's kind of nice, just not being on Facebook. And then I got back on for a little bit to I feel like there's this joke that I say to some of my buddies: do I exist if I'm not on Facebook? And the answer is yes, obviously I exist, but I feel like everyone's got this need to let people know what they're doing, what they're eating, whatever. And it just got kind of weird to me. And I was doing that also, always posting gigs or trying to post videos and stuff. And I think a lot of people compare, social media is only the greatest hits of someone's actual life. So you're only seeing the good stuff, but you're not seeing the struggles that we all go through.
Struggles.
They do, yeah. And this is another thing that bummed me out. They'd be like, oh, I can't believe it was such a day like today. And that's it. And you're like, oh my God, what happened? So it just got kind of weird to me. And so then I took another break. I've been off Facebook for definitely over a year. And
I'm jealous.
It's been awesome, man. And I mean, it was before Memorial Day of 2017. And part of it was I was doing so much corporate gigs and playing at church and teaching. There really wasn't a lot of public performance. I mean, if you want to come to church, that's awesome, And but I just felt like there wasn't a lot of stuff for me to be posting about. And then with religious views and politics and everything, Facebook got weird to me. So I just was I'm going to see how long I can go, and if people are still calling me for work. And thankfully, people still call me. And so it's just been nice, man. I don't miss it at all. It's maybe I won't. There's always some cute cat video that I don't know about. They're
damn, I missed the cat video.
I know, I missed the cat video, or the child prodigy, I said, playing a crazy Jocko thing, which is awesome. And then I took a break from Instagram also, and that was pretty refreshing. But I'm back on there, and it's cool, man. I mean, I really like Instagram, and I get to follow some bass players that I just totally adore, and I think of them as my biggest influences. And like there's a great bass player in New York named Andy Hess, and this guy's played with John Scofield and the Government Mule and Black Crowes and a list of other people, David Byrne, and he was one of the first bass players when I first got into bass that I really looked up to. And like we follow each other on Instagram, and I private message them, and I'm trying to set up a time where I can go like take some lessons with them, and that's the amazing thing about social media. This is a guy that literally was one of the reasons I got serious about the bass, and now it's
you
like
can just connect.
And I'll like, you know, he might like a video that I post, which is so weird, but I'm like, it makes me so happy. I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, like Andy has liked my video, as dorky as that is,
Dude,
you know. So
no,
I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, I'm just curious because, you know, obviously, like Facebook is like the backbone of what I do for work.
You have to, man.
But personally, I almost don't post things.
Yeah.
You know, but I also have a wife who posts like everything, so she does the, you know, she posts the pictures of the kids, so the family out of town is all happy. You know what I mean?
That's great.
But I hear you. Well, anyway, thanks for coming.
Dude, thank you
and
so much.
I'm such a big fan of your playing,
Thanks,
and you're a
man.
super nice
It's
guy.
been a blast, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and let's do it again soon.
I would love to. We'll do that, the loop of thing and play through some different rigs, see what it sounds like.
Deal.
And, I saw you and Sean had done like a song analysis, or maybe not a song analysis, but like kind of playing like a pop tune. And dude, I'm happy to come back anytime.
Dude.
I really appreciate the opportunity.
Let's do it, man.
Cool, man.
Let's do it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Ian Trusheim, everybody.
Thanks for watching, guys.